He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
This is The Alex Marlow Show. Thanks for joining me today. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. I know this is coming out a little late in St. Patrick's Day, but maybe all of you are tucking into some corned beef, perhaps. I got a fresh new green shirt for the occasion, so you guys are all seeing me sport that. Those of you who watched on the streams, thanks to all of you emailing me at aloha@alexmarlow.com. I have one piece of St. Patrick's Day content today. Conor McGregor, the MMA legend, who I think is probably known more at this point for his showmanship than his fighting. When was the last time he fought? It's been many years, right? But anyway, this is really interesting. So he shows up at the White House, and in the White House briefing room, he delivers this statement in a very tiny green suit. Check this out.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
It's just amazing. It's amazing stuff because it for me in particular, because I live in this world where I'm following the confluence of culture and politics. And it's easy to forget how monumental this is, that to see a mainstream superstar, a guy who packs arenas and sells, piles and piles of pay-per-view subscriptions to his fights, just to come to Donald Trump's White House and to speak about immigration and illegal immigration and how that is ruining the culture of Ireland, and how he sees that as a potential place of common ground between the American people and the Irish people. I have a lot of ancestry. In fact, we're going to dedicate the show to Josephine Devine, my favorite of my two grandmothers. I say that because he's the only one who seemed to like me. Okay. Long story, but look, there was one who seemed to like me more than the other one. Grandma Josephine, Grandma Joe. So she gets the shout out on the show today from the Irish side of the family. And it's very cool to see this, though. The Conor McGregor was also spotted with Pete Hegseth. The Pentagon showing support for America's armed forces. Do not overlook this. Do not overlook the power of people who are apolitical, seeing their favorite sports personalities, their favorite cultural online personalities come out and say, I stand with the president on these fundamental issues that you would have been tarred as a racist. Your entire social media feed today would have been wall to wall. This is racist. This is xenophobia. I can't believe this toxic culture has entered American society and it's never going to go away. It's one of those things that now we're just in a completely different era where we have this ability to command the culture and not just be dismissed because we don't have the trendy worldview when it comes to the establishment media, et cetera. So it's really cool. It's good stuff. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. And I wanted to bring that content. We'll dovetail into their two monster news items over the weekend. And I will start with those before we get into some fun dunking on Dems, as we always do. I had a great dunk-a-thon with the Dems on Laura Ingraham's show on Friday. It's popping up a lot of places. It's funny when you do these hits because I had to meet with a banker actually on my company for this show. And it was going to run really close to my hit time. So I asked them to send me the news van to the bank. And so then the news van was just camped out there. And I walked out of my meeting in the bank and I walked in the van and I was there for like 6 or 7 minutes. And then I did the TV hit for 4 minutes and I walked back into my meeting. So it was like, 12 minutes. And you never know what's going to happen with these things. And it felt a little choppy when I was in the chair in the van and the random LA street where I was at the time. And it was getting clipped and shared a lot. So I appreciate that. Any of you who see my content and share it online, it helps a lot. But I got to talk about how Trump is just taking all of these low-hanging fruit issues, and the Democrats are backing themselves into these corners where they're in this spot where they're defending all sorts of things that are indefensible, and they're doing this again, where they are now defending murderers and rapists and gang members that Trump is trying to deport. And they're going way out of their way to do this. And this is kind of the first thing I wanted to begin with today, is that Trump had invoked the Aliens Enemies Act. And this is something that I think dates back to the 18th century. I mean, this is like the early days of our country. But basically, when the U.S. can declare that in the event of an invasion, that by a foreign government, we are allowed to take some more extreme measures when it comes to deportations, getting people out of the country. And that's what it is in a nutshell. And so he's looking at MS-13, he's looking at Tren de Aragua, and these gangs that are largely associated with El Salvador and Venezuela, other parts of Central and South America. And noteworthy, though, that MS-13, of course, started in LA. So we actually exported that. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everyone in El Salvador over that one. But it is now more associated with El Salvador. And the invasion is the justification to be used to deport these gang members. And that's where we're at. So right after Trump invoked it, the administration started rounding up all these foreign gang members and trying to send them to El Salvador, where they got this mega prison. And we've got this amazing partnership with El Salvador because Bukele loves these mega prisons that he's got going. You've probably seen the viral footage of it online where he's got all these heinous criminals. He's all rounding them up, and he's making social media videos, making examples out of all of them. And now El Salvador has got the lowest crime I think they've ever had on record. So they love these mega prisons, and we're helping to subsidize them because they're willing to take our criminals who we're deporting, these gang members. So just wild and awesome that this is happening. It's got their crime at a record low, and it gives us a place to send people. And so ICE is doing these deportations. They're rounding people up. They're trying to send them out. And then you still got this issue of the left trying to defend the illegal aliens. The ACLU is doing it. And then we learned that Trump had some migrant flights that were going out. And what ended up happening is that an ACLU connected, or I'm sorry, an Obama connected judge tried to have an injunction to say that Trump had no right to deport these people. So what ends up happening, and this is some of the most dramatic and exciting stuff that we've seen, I would say, in recent days in this administration. Stephen Miller, Trump's, I guess, senior advisor or whatever they're calling him these days, but really one of the, I would say, part of the essential MAGA brain trust at this point, made this dramatic maneuver where he was able to get the plane out and over international waters before the injunction came down, according to an Axios report. So the flights were already over international waters, and according to Axios, Miller orchestrated the process in the West Wing, tandem with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Few outside their teams knew what was happening. So really small team, so nothing got leaked. And he orchestrated these Venezuelan gang members flying to El Salvador to this maximum security prison, getting them out of the country before the judge was able to take action. So brilliant stuff, really sort of spy novel type deal. And all very positive. Of course, the reactions on the line for the left were extremely severe, that this is the moment democracy died. I saw people calling it Black Saturday online, that we've ceased functioning as a constitutional democracy. The White House is asserting power over the judicial system. And all of this is just because the left is so desperate to keep illegal aliens in this country, and they're so convinced that everything Trump does is wrong. So the Tren de Aragua gang members had already been removed when the judge ordered the block on deportations. I started going down rabbit hole on this judge. Boasberg is the judge's name, James Boasberg. He put a 14-day restraining order on Trump's ability to use the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to bypass the traditional immigration criminal avenues in order to rapidly deport people. So I was looking into who this person is. Boasberg, appointed by Barack Obama. His wife, Elizabeth Liddy Manson, of course, different names, donated over 11 grand to Democrats. She's also the founder and a board chair of something called Meadow Reproductive Health and Wellness. Do you guys know what Meadow Reproductive Health and Wellness does? You could tell by the name, right? It's an abortion clinic. Aborting human beings. That's her deal. So she's been a long-time anti-Trump Facebook activist as well. And his prior rulings have all gone with the left and against the President Trump, pure bureaucratic biases. He ruled, here's a name blast from the past you guys will like. Former FBI attorney Kevin Kleinsmith, who was integral to the Russiagate hoax, shouldn't get prison time, despite Kleinsmith admitting he sent an altered email to an FBI agent and indicated a target of court-ordered FBI surveillance. Former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page was not a source for the Central Intelligence Agency. So this is someone who has gone to the mat for the left, ruled against Donald Trump's border practices in the prior administration, and he ruled to also get other migrant families released in a prior ruling. He approved FBI's warrantless wiretaps. So, he required a Dakota Access pipeline to be emptied while the Army Corps of Engineers produced an environmental review. Okay, so he shut down the Dakota Access pipeline so that there could be so the Greens could have their way with it. So this is just pure activism. So you've got the ACLU putting up all of this money to defend the illegal aliens. You've got the Soros-funded freaks who are out there, the Reid Hoffman-funded freaks, Laurene Powell Jobs-funded freaks, trying to create this fake news narrative. What Trump is doing is unconstitutional, it's illegal. And then you've got these judges, lower court judges, medium court judges, saying basically Trump has no authority to do anything, that elections don't matter, elections don't have consequences. And then if Trump does anything to try to be the president, to try to take action to protect our country from foreign criminals, then the media narrative is Trump is the one who's anti-democratic. So this is not working at a small scale level. At a small scale level, I think this is failing, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the show when I go through Democrats' polling numbers, which are the worst we've ever seen. They're literally the worst we've ever seen in the party. They're horrific. But I'll tell you what the plan is, and this is going to be what we're going to discuss for the next 2 years, and I promise you I will be there with you every step of the way, breaking down as much as I can. This will be probably my number one focus, because this feels like this is where the main tension is. Okay, we've all seen it. A parent, a friend, maybe even yourself, moving a little slower, skipping workouts, avoiding the stairs perhaps because of pain and stiffness. The reality is your mobility, it doesn't vanish overnight. It's slow decline, but by the time you notice, it can feel like it's too late to fix it. That's why I want you to take this seriously. There's a free 60-second bone and joint health risk assessment that helps you understand what's happening in your body before it's too late. In less than a minute, you can get a personalized score with real steps that you can take to stay active, strong, independent. This is one thing you'll wish you did sooner. You can take the quiz now. Go to juvent.com/Marlow. That's JUVENT.com/Marlow, because your future mobility depends on what you do today. So the plan is they issue as many injunctions as possible. A lot of them will make it to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court's docket is going to be completely full with looking at all these injunctions. So some of them are just going to, it's going to put almost like a permanent hold, like a single-handed veto on a lot of Trump's agenda. And the Supreme Court's not going to overturn all of them also, because remember, only really Alito and Roberts are 100% conservative votes. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh mostly vote correctly, and Barrett and Roberts are totally unpredictable at this point. So it's really noteworthy that this is their formula if they're going to stop Trump. They cannot do it legislatively. You saw how they operated last week. Again, more on that momentarily, but the Democrat Party is a complete mess. But the entrenched lawfare judges and justices, those are the ones who we need to look out for the most right now. And they're very well funded. They're well capitalized. The Mark Elias's of the world will start bringing suits wherever they can to try to come up with any justification to shut down whatever parts of Trump's agenda they possibly can. This is their formula, and is not a bad formula, which is why we're going to have to track it over and over again. And just look at the media to amp up the hysteria. They're going to act like it's a huge outrage that we're trying to deport criminal aliens and gang members from our cities. So, of course, it's an issue where the public likes to see criminal aliens deported. They like this stuff. It's popular. But what they really want to do is they want to create the narrative that Trump doesn't care about democracy. And so what is coming to a head is that what is Trump's enforcement mechanisms for this? He's got a lot. He's got an army. He's got power of the purse. The Congress, of course, controls funds. But the courts don't. So this is what's interesting, is the courts could become the real victims here. So look out for the courts to become the victims in this narrative. They don't have the power of the purse, and they don't have any sort of an army. Really, their ability to enforce is just based on us buying into their legitimacy. And if they keep operating in a way that's clearly political, then they're going to lose some of that legitimacy. And Trump, he's got 4 years left. He's got less than 4 years, a ticking clock for him. He wants his agenda through, and he doesn't want some sort of petty political stuff to get in the way. And so this is going to cause, I think, probably the most problems of anything that we could see for Trump. So this is it. This is the main opposition right now. So we're keeping a close eye on it, but genius move by Miller, and I'm glad to see these deportations continue more throughout the week at Breitbart News on this one if you would like some more. All right, other big stories is Trump taking out some of the bad guys in Yemen, and this is a fun one for me because I always like the ones that challenge the audience and challenge some of the people in my own readership, because we have gotten tribal as a society, and I'm fine with that too. I mean, it's those of you who trust me, I know that you trust me because we agree on a lot of stuff. So, but this is one where the right is somewhat divided. The right is somewhat divided on the issues of should we just go around bombing people. And so we bombed some people in Yemen. And this is interesting here because Yemen is run by the Houthis, which is an extremely radical jihadi terrorist group. They're amongst the most radical and most insane of any of the groups on the planet. Their whole charter is about cursing America and death to the Jews and death to Israel. And they're controlling the capital city of Yemen now. So there's no legitimate government in the capital city of Yemen. And why this is significant is that they're controlling the Suez Canal. And there's a lot of shipping that goes through there. It is a global thoroughfare for commerce. And we cannot traverse that area with ships because they're threatening to bomb our ships and our ally ships, et cetera. And they have very sophisticated weaponry that they've got from Iran, but they're not good at using it. So even some of their allies, like they've gotten close with China, they've gotten close with Russia, they're very close with Iran. They've accidentally bombed all of them in the past because they're just not that good. They've got this high-tech weaponry, but they're also sort of a mess. So they're claiming that they're only targeting things that enrich the Israeli government, but you know how the global media operates is that everything enriches the Israeli government. That's how they treat it. So they're deeply allied with Iran, and they've got friendly relationship with Russia and China, and but they're very primitive in the way they use this modern weaponry, which creates a lot of complications in the region. So they got the weaponry from Iran. And this is, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop a market to sell this stuff to bad guys. So Iran is doing this a lot, and that's why a lot of people are concerned about the threat of Iran. Now, I'm not quite as obsessed with the threat of Iran as some people, I guess, on the neocon right, but I'm also not as dismissive of it as some people on the extreme peacenik right, which is, I think, more and more popular. I understand what they're doing is they're selling weapons to the bad guys, and the bad guys are keeping footholds in thoroughfares for trade, in commerce. And that's not a positive for America. So is there a middle ground? Do we want to put boots in the ground here? No. Do we want to have protracted wars? No. Prolonged wars? No, of course not. But it's nice every once in a while when you've got a president who's bold enough and clear-eyed enough to bomb some of the terrorists, send a message, and to brush them back. So what had changed here in Yemen is that Yemen had basically stopped operating. They stopped bombing. They stopped their aggression campaigns when there was discussion of ceasefire between Hamas and Israel at the end of January, and then they had threatened to bomb ships around the Red Sea as of last week, and this did not set well with President Trump. So he unleashed a bombing campaign, and then he unleashed a epic Truth Social post on that. I don't need to go through all of it, but it's all out there for you, saying that he's targeting specifically military assets of the Houthis in Iran. And he's basically trying to get them to back off and saying that if you don't back off, then we're going to destroy you and you can't threaten us and don't threaten anything that's happening in terms of, well, we're getting the economy going here and we're not going to have big supply chain interruptions because of this rebel group that has no legitimate authority controlling major ports and major thoroughfares. So he's sending a signal to Iran also. Iran is sort of the elephant in the room here. It's not worth it. Stop funding these guys. Let them on their own. Because if you keep supporting these terrorists, then there's going to be more hell to pay for you. So the Houthis told us after the bombing that they claimed that they attacked the USS Harry Truman. There's nothing that I could find online that confirmed this. I consulted with Frances Martel, our world editor of Breitbart News, who we discussed this on our Fight Club video today. For more detail, I recommend all that. She knows more about this than anyone I know. And Breitbart Fight Club, you subscribe, get that extra content. I asked her about it. She said no evidence the USS Harry Truman was attacked. And they're also claiming that Trump killed a bunch of children with his bombing. But again, it just seems like that's the smart thing to say, because then people who just parrot anti-American propaganda will just announce that. So again, we have not seen any evidence of that, because here's the tell. They put out this video of American of caskets floating in the water with American flags draped on them. So my question is, if we'd bombed children, wouldn't they put out some propaganda to show the aftermath of us bombing children instead of the CGI or AI video of caskets with American flags on them? Not to mention, the Houthis starve children to death and use child soldiers. So it's very not... is not convincing that we did anything wrong here. So what I think a lot of people, and of those of you who I know some of you out there on the peacenik side of the conservative movement, where I'm very sympathetic, a lot of you are afraid that we're going to turn this into a prolonged war the same way George Bush would, the same way Barack Obama would. But remember Trump's reputation. Trump bombed Syria when Xi Jinping was at Mar-a-Lago over chemical weapons, and then we backed off. We didn't even really participate in the Syria civil war that saw the ouster of Assad. Remember when Trump bombed Soleimani, got out of there fast. Trump killed Baghdadi. All this stuff happened, and then we didn't necessarily extend our fighting forces and our efforts in those areas more than we had previously. So I think he's got a great track record on this. So it's the proverbial only Nixon could go to China. I feel like Trump, because he represents a departure from the hyper-militarism of the Republican Party of yesteryear, I think he's the only one who can pull off some of these bombings with the credibility that we're not going to extend these forever and ever and ever. So remember, Houthis not a legitimate government. And if somehow Trump could uncouple them from Iran, China, Russia, maybe we could see a legitimate government taking hold. By the way, the UN kicks money over to the Houthis via these fake humanitarian programs that the Houthis just take. So they're the bad guys here. So I like it. Trump's putting all the bad guys on notice. He continues to do that. Another elephant in the room, and I discussed this with Francis on the Fight Club today, is I think the Abraham Accords. I think Trump would like to bring peace to the region, and I think the Houthis see that as a problem because that will normalize Israel and solidify their place in the region. Because once there's so much commerce going on and once there's more economic freedom in the area, people are just not going to want to bomb each other quite as much. I think the Houthis, who are so pure ideological in a really grotesque way, I think they're going to hate that. So all that's good. And just Trump just continuing to do just a plus report card for me thus far in the first couple months. All right, other stuff going on. Trump has declared Biden's pardons on January the 6th committee void and vacant due to the Autopen. I love this. Trump put out a epic truth bomb. I'll read this one. The pardons the sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs, he's talking about the J6 committee, and many others, are hereby declared void and vacant and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by Autopen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but importantly, he did not know anything about them. So Trump doesn't know that Joe didn't know, but I like that the implication, I like that the suggestion is, oh, he must not have known, because make them prove that Joe knew. Put the burden of proof on them, because we don't really know if Joe knew anything. So the necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. I'm not sure if that's perfect grammar there by the president. Therefore, those in the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during the 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they're probably responsible for the Democrats that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And again, it puts the burden of proof on the Democrats to prove that Biden knew what he was doing. And I did run this down with some of my legal experts on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I said, hey, what do you think? If this is challenged in court, do you think Trump could actually win? And they were very optimistic that what Biden did with the Autopen might be unconstitutional. Alex Marlow here for my friends at besthotgrill.com. They make the hot, fast Solaire infrared grills. With rising prices everywhere, you want to make sure your hard-earned money is spent well. So here's what you get when you buy a 21-inch and larger Solaire infrared backyard grill. American-made, built to last, with all stainless steel welded design and commercial quality features. Radiant infrared burners that heat up to 1,000 degrees in just 3 minutes, regardless of the temperature outside. High direct heat that results in the juiciest and most flavorful food you've ever had from a gas grill, and limited lifetime warranty on the burners, grates, and stainless steel. Also, when you buy a Solaire infrared grill at besthotgrill.com, you support my advertiser to help them keep my voice on the air and all my values as well that we all share. Learn about the Solaire infrared grill at besthotgrill.com, including their try before you buy demo rental program. That's besthotgrill.com. You guys know I'm a regular. I can't wait to get out there in the evenings and grill on my Solaire infrared grills. I've been telling you about the burgers I've been making, the steaks. You get the best sear on the market. Besthotgrill.com. Full endorsement. Check it out. So one of my anonymous sources says, I think Biden is toast if this is challenged legally, and that there should be no downside to DJT either now or from the 45 time to challenge this. So whether or not the Supreme Court refuses to get involved, which they often do on these high drama things, I don't know, but I think Trump is really onto something here. And I said this immediately. I think it was on a show when someone brought up the Autopen to me, and I hadn't, it was just fresh. So I hadn't really thought about it. My first reaction when I heard that Biden had signed so much of his agenda with Autopen is that it should be illegal, because the president has to take ownership over his whatever legislation is passed, whatever pardons are given, whatever executive actions. And if you're allowed to use Autopen, then how do you even know that he's there? So it can't be legal. And I've never seen it tested. It should be tested. And if it is, who knows if it's going to turn out to be seen as legitimate or not. So I'm way in on that. It's great stuff. And it just makes me very happy. It makes me very happy to see it, because anything to put the Democrats on defense, I think, is very good, because they're so lost. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to trust. They have no leadership, and they're deeply divided on whether or not they need to oppose Trump at every turn or whether or not they need to moderate, because they know they're losing a lot of ground. The polling is just staggering polling. CNN, Holy Toledo, support for the Democrat Party is plunging. A 21% approval, is that correct? Wow, that number is really small. Wow. Okay, look at this. This is Harry Enten from CNN. Voters' views of Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%, and look at the approval number, just 21%, even lower than the Democrat Party at large. This is the lowest on record. So the Democrat Party at large is polling in the high 20s, 27%. There's an NBC poll that I think is even lower. Let me see this. I'm pulling this up here. Yeah, 27%. 27% for Democrat Party approval rating in this country. So that's not a national party. I've been saying this. They're becoming a regional, cosmopolitan, metropolitan party. That's what they are. So, and they keep running on these 2080 issues. That they're saying stuff like, we're defending Tren de Aragua to stay in the country. No one really wants that. The men in women's sports, the trans of everything. All right, so Misty pulled this clip. So this is just what's happening now, is that they're so triggered by everything that we do that they have no ability to moderate themselves at all, because we're just all as a country rejecting so much of what's been important to them over the last few years. Check this out. So this is just a TikTok or Instagram video of a person in a MAGA hat walking to a bar, the transvestite behind the bar, and check this out.
Why?
Questions. Get out of the bar.
Why?
Because you're a Trump supporter.
I know, but don't you guys want our money?
No, actually we don't. Get out of my bar right now.
You're not welcome.
I'm not fucking around. Get out of my bar.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Out.
Because I'm wearing a Trump
Yes.
hat. That's wild.
I don't care. Get out.
We can't call the police.
So those of you who are missing the visuals, this is clearly a two-spirit person, completely gender androgynous. You have no idea if there's a man or a woman. Seems to have a mullet, covered in tattoos. is dressed kind of feminine. It is just very angry, a lot of just aggressive body language. Behind the bar, MAGA person with a MAGA hat comes in and just getting kicked out. So a little bit more of this.
Police, or you can just leave. You know this is like discrimination, right?
Oh, boo-hoo! Boo fucking hoo! Get out of my bar.
All right, so just screaming, swear words. They love the swear words now. Chris Murphy was doing that too over the weekend, and it's just great. We have some Chris Murphy content. This is the Democrat senator who's trying to appoint himself the head of the Trump resistance, even though he's just a generic angry white guy. And there's just something very off-putting about the angry white guys for libs. It's funny. I ran into one of them over the weekend, a guy in a Harris Walls shirt who was just sort of just like an angry aging white, the pot belly. It was just not a great look for them. It's just they got to come up with better spokespeople. Here's Chris Murphy. Let's see him sell the soap.
Our new NBC News poll, as you just saw, shows the Democratic Party at an all-time low approval rating. Why do you think Democrats are failing to connect with Americans at this critical moment of urgency, which you describe?
Well, it's what I just talked about. I mean, I think Americans want the Democratic Party to stand up and fight and to take risks. Listen, I understand that had we gone into a shutdown, even for a handful of days, it would have been difficult, but it would have sent a message that the Democratic Party is not going to be bullied by Donald Trump. We are not going to let them write spending bills unilaterally that cut programs for people we care about, that give the president new and extraordinary power. I think Democrats in this country,
So this is the whole thing, is that you pass a bill that some Democrats support by the people who just won an election, and it keeps the spending levels roughly where Joe Biden was and where Nancy Pelosi had it. And then you act like this is the greatest outrage of all time. It's just not plausible. It's just designed to pander towards left-wingers like his alleged girlfriend, who is the fake news princess of the entire left. His girlfriend now is the right-hand fake news princess of Laurene Powell Jobs, the queen of all fake news, who runs the Courier newsroom, which is one of the worst fake news operations imaginable that I wrote about in great detail in Breaking the News, my first book. So that's who Chris Murphy is literally in bed with, according to the reports. That's what he's doing. He should probably be at home working on his home life right now instead of just spewing all this stuff on Meet the Press. But here, let's play some more.
I think the broad middle of the public as well want to see our party fighting in exceptional ways. That is the conversation that has to happen inside of the Democratic Party, inside our caucus. And if we don't get that right, if we continue to work with Republicans, if we continue to hand Donald Trump more power, we are going to lose our democracy.
I just don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's where we're at, where we want them to just fight with us all the time. It doesn't seem like that's really what people are need right now. I think they would like, probably, if you're a Democrat voter, you got to start thinking that maybe the fighting at every corner is not working, at every turn is not working. It would have been much smarter if they had maybe tried to find a way to work with Trump on some of the spending cuts on the CR. They're just too tone deaf to do this, of course, but the spending levels are only a little bit diminished from what they were under Biden. And they should have just said, hey, we got a partial victory here. We fought hard and we won a lot of concessions. We got a lot of our stuff funded. But they can't do that because they're in this mode where when you're a hammer, everything is a nail. And the Democrats in their current iteration, they only want to fight with people. That's all they're comfortable doing. They're not comfortable doing anything else. So, and the public is rejecting it because not everyone is hyper online on Blue Sky, just trying to see where the next fight is going to break out. So for those people, I'm sure they're very pleased to see all the fighting, but that's not most of the electorate you're seeing when you're polling. You're in the 20s now. Let's see. This is great. So we had that great episode last week with Jessica Bowman, who was reporting for us on Indivisible, which is this left-wing organizing group. And Misty has pulled one of their latest ads about what's going on. Let's check in with a narrative coming from left-wing AstroTurf group Indivisible. Check this.
Elon Musk and his billionaire Bros Club are looting our democracy to cut their taxes. They're robbing medication from cancer patients, food from our kids, and health care from seniors and veterans.
All right, so let's keep an eye on this. So Billionaire Bros Club, Mark Zuckerberg, which basically won the election for Biden in 2020. And Jeff Bezos, which is for the last decade plus, has ran the Washington Post and let it be an anti-Trump mouthpiece nonstop. And did not endorse Trump. He just refused to keep letting his paper get degraded by left-wing radicals. So all of them are now a Billionaire Bros Club who are looting people to line their own pockets. Musk has lost billions of dollars since he took over Doge because of his Tesla stock. Tesla stock is just down huge. I'm going to pull it up exactly because I want to get this exactly right. So what are we at here? So Tesla stock is down $100 this month. $120 this month over the last month. And let's see, since when Trump got sworn in, this is important. Tesla stock was at about 425, and today it's at 238. So we're down like 40% in his Tesla stock. So he's just losing tons and tons of money doing this. So how could they plausibly say that he's tried to enrich himself? The other thing here is that they keep saying that they're looting the treasury. I mean, they think looting means that you get to keep your money. This is how the left defines looting, because they think of your taxpayer dollars as their money to spend on their programs. So us taking for their left-wing programs, they think the money belongs to their left-wing USAID type programs. And if we get some of it back, we've stolen from them. So us keeping our own money is not how they see their default. It's a very important distinction that they're making. They think the default should be all of your money should go to the treasury and you get to keep whatever the government allows for you to keep, not the other way around. Not that we consent the government to take some of our money. No, it's the opposite. The government consents you to keep a little bit of yours. So they actually, once you see it in that way, and I gotta workshop this concept, because I think this is a big deal, what I'm identifying here, is their whole perception is that cutting any sort of government's expenditure or confiscation is actually, we're stealing from the government, versus taxation, which is them kind of stealing from us a lot of the time. Really interesting. Okay, here we go.
Seniors and veterans, just to line their pockets. Powerful elites are stealing from working families. This is more than corruption. It's a coup, plain and simple. We need to tell them to keep their greedy hands off our services.
Yeah, so save Medicare, save Social Security are these signs in this ad. Again, there's no threats to Medicare or Social Security is the definition of fear-mongering.
We have the power to stop their steal, but we all need to show up and speak out. No tax cuts for billionaires. Tell Congress to stand up for working families. Congress works for you. Demand a town hall.
All right, so there you go. They want the grassroots, the fake AstroTurf town halls, all funded by Indivisible, so the activists can come out, yell at Democrats. So that's where they're at. Okay. Cool. So now you know what they're pushing back with. It's one lie after the next. There's no funding there's no cancer medicines that are getting cut. Like it's all just such phony baloney. I've been through this on so many shows. The studies for the cancer drugs are funded by mostly the pharmaceutical companies and a little bit the universities. The government are not doing these important studies on that. That's just a total phony baloney narrative. It's all lies. They're built on such a house of cards now. They don't have anything. And that's the best part. That's why I keep repeating, we've got to run up the score while they have nothing. One of the greatest things we saw over the weekend was Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, astronaut. He has now sold his Tesla, but you got to watch this, and then I'll break it down for you.
All right, here I am with my new ride, Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe, here in Washington, D.C. Got one of these in Tucson as well. This one was made by Union Labor, United Auto Workers in Arlington, Texas. Always good to buy union cars, incredibly reliable. And I'm looking forward to driving this for many, many years.
Okay, so this is a guy who, he said Musk is an a-hole in a different setting. And so he has sold his Tesla, and now he's got a gas guzzler. So all of this climate change stuff, it was all such a lie. You guys all in this audience knew it was a lie. But because they're annoyed that Musk is cutting the government and that he's aligned with Donald Trump, they're now completely abandoning electric cars, which they were telling us were going to save the world from climate change. And they're now bragging about getting gas guzzlers. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, is where did he release this video? On X, a platform owned by Musk. So either Mark Kelly is very dumb or they're just so confused and lost. But you're giving up your Tesla because you think Musk is an a-hole, and then you virtue signal about it on X, which is a platform owned by Musk. It's just so epic. And now that gas guzzlers are cool, I mean, it's pretty cool. I got the biggest car on the road. I won't give a free ad right now, but I do own the biggest car on the road. And I was looking at it. I like to watch my gas mileage. I get 12.9 miles to the gallon on my car. Look, man, it was out of the minivan. That's what it's all about. We got all those car seats. I need something with 4 car seats in it. Though I think Master Marlow is going towards booster seat land. So that'll be interesting. It'll just free up a little bit of space for me. Maybe I'll get a little more gas mileage there. Car seats are huge these days. All right, so Democrats are at a new low, and they don't really know where to go from here. I think in moments like this, it's always best when you go to the grassroots. You turn the grassroots, see where they're at. Let's see what the libs on the street are thinking of MAGA right now.
I would like for you to die of measles, of polio, of all the horrible diseases that living in this country, in this bubble of privilege and ignorance and morbid.
So these are people that have a support Doge Stop DEI sandwich board out in the Capitol. And this woman comes up and says, I want you to die of all these horrible diseases. It's the hatred that spews out of these people. And they're the ones who say that we're the divisive ones. She's unprovoked, just coming up, walking down the street. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to tell these people, because they disagree with me about the size of government, I'm going to tell them I want them to die of measles.
You've had the luxury of not having to worry about it because it doesn't really affect you. I hope it affects you. I hope it affects your children and your grandchildren. I hope it guts your community. That will make my life meaningful and extremely happy.
Wow, what an amazing experience.
Did you get all of that?
What an amazing experience that was.
You get all that.
Wow. Yeah, that was a video we had at Breitbart. Got a ton of coverage online, which is great. Look, they're lost. That's great. We're happy to see them. There's more protests popping up, though. Let's see if they can form a coherent narrative. Here's another one Misty pulled for me. This is a die-in protest. Where is this, Misty? Where this is. It's pretty cool. So I want to read some of these signs. If you guys can't see this on the screens, Doge cuts let Ebola in the USA. So Ebola is going to kill you guys. No updated flu vaccine. I don't, that's not true. Flu vaccine is updated. Musk stole my something. Again, they regard you keeping your money as stealing. The cancer VA chemo got cut. That's not true. Abortion bans. That's true. Medicaid cuts. That's not true. There's all these fake news. SNAP cuts killed me. I mean, the SNAP program is that people are using all of these government funds to buy the least healthy food on the planet, and they're getting sick from it. No local hospital died in the ambulance. It's all they've got is to make you afraid that if we do not have a government that is the size that it is now, where we've accumulated truly threatening levels of debt, we're running huge deficits, we cannot afford stuff, and the country is not getting stronger, it's not getting more divided, it's not getting healthier, it's not getting better educated. Just the thought of taking another approach, you have to pretend like we're all going to die. It's just such a pathetic look. Where does this take place? All this stuff is, guessing it's all during work days, right? So it's these are pros. They're pros. You're out there protesting. So there you go. I think that's where we're at on this. But it's a historic chance that we've got. We've got a historic chance to get the nation back on the right track. The numbers of Americans saying we're on the right track is at a 20-year high right now. So do not be confused. People are seeing things very clear-eyed. Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary, she's not going to attend the White House Correspondents Association dinner. We're not indulging the fake news. We are getting the word out. We don't need them. I was just seeing a tweet from Zero Hedge, which is a cool financial website that I follow. They were pointing out, they highlighted a post that shows the U.S. has the lowest trade barriers of any G20 nation by a mile. So all of this myth that we're just some sort of cretinous culture now, that we want to have some tariffs threatening French wine. It is pretty awesome that Trump now, he's bailing out billionaires, but the left is also upset that he wants to tariff French wine. That's an awesome level of schizophrenia. But point out, we have the lowest trade barrier of any G20 country. So we're just trying to clean up the trash. That's all we're trying to do. Here's a fun one that I saw. A deported Brown University professor had sympathetic photos of Hezbollah leaders on her phone, according to the DOJ. Trump is not operating at random. This stuff is intentional. If you're a person who's come into this country as a guest and you're going to support people who believe in terrorism and would like America destroyed and our allies destroyed, then you don't have a right to be here forever. I'll round it out with the one lib who could save them all, our favorite of our favorites, Jasmine Crockett. Misty said that she had given a tour of her makeup room. I haven't seen this yet, so we're watching this together for the first time. Let's check this out.
What are your makeup must-haves right now? We should take the phone on a journey. Let's grab the phone. We're gonna go.
What do you have?
Okay, these are my must-haves. Y'all get
okay. Let's see.
All right, she's taking a tour through a congressional office.
So, journey. Yes, we're on a journey.
We're on.
So what's interesting is that she has no legislation to do. There's no work that's being done. I can already tell that I have not had a moment this casual in the office in forever. So she's just flitting around.
The makeup must
Let's
have.
See what journey. She
All
does.
right. So. Oh wow.
Okay, makeup room. This is real. This is real. She's got a makeup room in her congressional office. Wow. I thought there was going to be something going on here. Maybe it was just like a death. No, she's got a whole room, and this is designed for her to get her glam before she goes on TV.
Actual, makeup room in my office.
Okay, you have Julia's Place. I love them.
Makeup corners. So these are just going to be my basics that I always have.
Is this Raisin by Mine?
Yes, it is.
That's my favorite. Okay.
And then we've got to have the lash brushes.
Definitely.
Always need something for my lips, so I love a good jelly for sure.
Yes.
But clearly, I do lots of MAC and Fit Me. Fit Me is
Fit Me.
It's the most inexpensive but most effective. Okay,
and MAC,
especially if you got to wear it daily. And then this is actually what I use for my eyebrows. So.
It's a lot of makeup. She is really ready to go. It makes sense, though. I mean, look, she's a TV personality.
This is
sometimes.
But definitely my highlight.
Okay,
my highlight
I love it.
These are some of my. This is my basics right here.
I love that. Okay, you hear it here, class.
So this really struck me during the CR conversation, is that they're not looking to legislate. They're not looking to get anything done. They're not looking to accomplish anything. They're just looking to be stars. And that's what the Democrats are about this time, trying to be stars. And that's fine with us, but just have clarity. If have someone in your life who's a left-wing person, maybe this is a place where you can start reasoning with them. You start mentioning stuff like how we have the lowest trade barriers of any country in the G20. That's a good place to start. Then say, what do you think of Jasmine Crockett putting up videos of her makeup room that she has in her congressional office on TikTok? Do you think she's really trying to get anything done, or do you think she's just trying to get attention from and earn praise from people on MSNBC and all the people who continue to wring their hands every time Trump deports an illegal alien? CNN has a poll showing who's the leader of the Democrat Party, and the number one choice was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 10%. It's not that high, but 10%. Kamala Harris, 9%. Bernie Sanders, 8%. Hakeem Jeffries, 6%. Barack Obama, 4%. That's kind of interesting. Jasmine Crockett, 4%. So as many people think Crockett is the leader of the Democrat Party as Obama. Newsom's lower. That's noteworthy because Newsom's trying to do his podcast. I don't think that's working yet for him. It might work for him if he wants to do an Oprah thing and actually have a talk show. But if he wants to be president, I don't know if he's really helping himself that much. So AOC, number one leader of the party, I don't think that's true. I think she's lost her fastball. She's at 10%. I don't recall if there was a prior poll like this. I think she would have had a higher percentage before. I think Crockett's passing AOC as a leader of the resistance. I really do. Obama obviously taking a backseat. And as we talked about with John Nolte on Friday's show, which was really fun. If you guys missed that, we had a great time with Nolte. How the Obama seemed like they kind of want out. Not really that productive right now. I don't think they really want this. So that's where we are. And AOC number one, Kamala number two. If you got a thought on who's really the leader of the Democrat Party, let me know. aloha@alexmarlow.com. I'm interested in your take, but I like how Crockett's rising because I want more Crockett, more makeup shots, more great clips for us. Crockett Rocket. Got to get one every show. Missy's on the case. She's pulled me one every single show. That was nice. Glad to have it. Great way to round that out. All right. That'll be today's show. We've got an amazing week, and I'm going to let you guys in on something, which is that I'm headed to Washington. And I will be en route tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to have an interview show with my friend Stephen Gardner, who is a YouTube genius. He's he went from zero to hero, conservative YouTube space. We'll talk to him. It'll be a good conversation. And then on Wednesday, I will be at the White House all day, and we'll see what comes of that. A lot to do, very busy itinerary, and hopefully these will make for some real cutting edge stuff for the broadcast. And high hopes, things are going to go well. I've got a lot on the agenda I don't want to give away just in case it causes any problems for me, but a lot going on. So we got high hopes for this trip, and then you'll still have great shows. I'm going to get you guys shows. I'm going to do that, but it's going to be busy, and maybe the visuals won't be quite as good. I don't think I'm going to travel with my lights. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to travel. I'll try to bring the camera. I mean, not the camera. I'll bring the camera. I'll bring the mic, not the lights though. So anyway, should be good. Heading to DC, getting a lot done, and we'll have a lot of big reports for you from there. That'll be it. Thanks to Misty. Thanks for all of you. Email me, aloha@alexmarlow.com. I'll talk to you tomorrow.